Hey there, I'm Bruce. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I made this black walnut mic surround. It has acoustic foam on the inside, and I'm going to use it to help me recording my voiceovers for my videos, as well as recording my podcast. Let me show you how I made it. I started out by cutting and milling some rough walnut. I only had 2-inch thick walnut, so I had to resaw it at the bandsaw before jointing and planing it. Then I glued together some of the pieces for the panels. I needed a total of 4 of these. I then cut the pieces that would make the boxes, going through the same milling process. Then I attempted something I've never done before. I put the dado stack in my table saw and set up everything to cut some finger joints or box joints. I had to cut these on the ends of all the pieces you see here. Next, it was time to glue all of the box joints together. I think mine were a bit too tight, so I struggled with them. While those were in the clamps, I went to my laser and engraved a microphone logo into some zebra wood in a little token that I'll use later in the project. I sent the box joint boxes and the glued up panels through the drum sander and then used my random orbit sander to clean up the rest of the sides. Then it was time to secure the panels to the boxes. I used some long boards and some weights to accomplish this, and it worked pretty well. After those were dry, I took them out of the clamps and cut away a lot of the excess at the bandsaw. Then I used a flush trim bit in my router to make the panels the exact size of my boxes. The boxes were a little out of square despite my best efforts, so I clamped them down to my bench, and once they were aligned, I used my sander to clean the ends up. Then, I just used a small roundover bit in the router to ease the edges. On to the hinges. I marked out how long the hinges needed to be and then cut them off at the angle grinder. Then I took the front panel to the drill press to cut out the recess for the microphone token I cut on the laser. I glued it in, but there was still a little space around the edge, so I mixed in some of the walnut sawdust. Once I sanded it down, it looked great. I marked and drilled out where the hinges would go and then secured them with screws. I made this leather handle in a previous project, so I just had to trim it to size and punch some holes to connect it to the mic surround. The way the door is shut, I needed a small piece to hold them off at the same distance as the hinges. I used another piece of zebra wood and just cut them on the bandsaw. If you notice, this piece that I'm sanding is a little different looking than the piece you actually see me use. That's because I had to redo it and I used a slightly different sized piece. The first one I glued on with just wood glue. On the next one, I tried the trick of using some wood glue but also using some CA glue and activator to hold immediately. It worked great. This was my first time trying this and I'm definitely going to be using it again. I put some tape on the front and top and marked where the leather pulls would go as well as where the leather handle will go. I drilled out those holes and then started rounding over on the top corners. I got these cool brass corner pieces and they'll fit better with a rounded corner. Next, I needed to modify the acoustic foam panels a bit. I just marked out where I needed to cut and used a ruler. Lots of hand sanding later, and it was finally time for finish. Again, I'm using Mahoney's walnut oil, and it sure did make this walnut look fantastic. It came out a little darker than I anticipated, but that's okay. I still like the outcome. I forgot to use my Cranford Design Works branding iron until I had already applied the oil, so it didn't work as well as it should have. That's my fault. Then I attached all of the leather pieces and brass hardware. I also decided to add some neodymium magnets to the doors so they would kind of catch and hold when I moved it. I just used some CA glue and activator to secure them. I placed in the acoustic foam panels and this project was done. So I really like the way this thing turned out. It's got a ton of finger joints here on all of the edges. I used these brass pieces that I actually picked up. I found them at Rockler, and made my own leather handles, leather pulls, and a leather handle for the top. With the design, this handle ended up being less functional and more just kind of decorative. It can hold it. I've actually held the whole thing up by it, but this is pretty heavy being solid walnut. I just kind of friction fit these panels in here. There was no need to really glue them in. And you may be wondering, why is this thing so high? Well, the mic stand I have right now is this one that sits on the desk. And when I lean up to it to speak into it the way I need to get the sound, I'm a Mac user and I can actually see all of the icons in the toolbar from this level. So I know it looks really high, but that way when I'm speaking into it, it's going to be able to capture all of my sound. I can actually wrap this around more if I need it to surround me, and then it can close up and go sit on the corner of the desk when I'm done. That's one part that I'm really excited about, is that it's just going to be a nice addition to the desk. It's going to be nice to look at. So thanks so much for watching this video. If you like what you see, go ahead and get subscribed to the channel and click that notification bell. Also, there's bound to be some different things that you would have done if you built this. So I want to know what you would have done differently. Would you have used the same materials? Would you have constructed it in a different way? I'm always looking to learn, so drop that below. So far, the few tests that I've done, this surround is really helping. The acoustic foam in all of the panels are really keeping a lot of the bounce back and the echo in a pretty echoey room that I have here. If you haven't already seen the videos I made of making this leather handle and the stitching pony that holds that so you can do leather work using both hands, I'll leave them here and here. Go ahead and check those out. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you real soon.